This is David Sutton, and you are listening to the Word Inspiration Podcast with Damian Scarlett. And you don't gotta go anywhere else. Stay tuned. We are for all you've done and all you've been.
Hey everybody, welcome to Word Inspiration, renewing your mind and increasing your spiritual health. It's our second podcast anniversary, March 18th, 2021. And I'm so glad to be here with you today to share the awesome work that we have been doing over the last 2 years. So stay tuned to this channel, Word Inspiration, renewing your mind and increasing your spiritual health.
My chains are falling off. My chains are falling off. My chains are falling off. God.
Hey everybody, this is Psalmist Shane Means and you're locked into Word Inspiration with Damian Scarlett.
My chains are falling off. My chains are falling off.
Welcome back to Word Inspiration, renewing your mind and increasing your spiritual health. Hello everybody, and today we are live on location at the Pure Music Studios, and we are just celebrating our second podcast anniversary. And I just want to start out by saying thank you so much to all of our listeners, all of our viewers, those persons who have been interacting with our material, not only on our website, not only through the apps, but also on our YouTube channel. And so today, March 18th, is actually our anniversary, because this podcast was actually started on that date 2 years ago. But I would like to start out by just sharing with you officially the history of the Word Inspiration podcast. We're actually 3 years old. Now, you're probably wondering, how come you're celebrating your second anniversary, but you're 3 years old? Actually, how this actually started, the podcast really started on WhatsApp. And what I basically did, I was actually inspired and led to share devotions with my friends and my family members. So I started to do a little thing on WhatsApp, recorded some content, shared some music and all of those things. But, as you are growing and evolving, as they say, you explore other platforms. And one of my friends one day just called me and said, Damon, ever tried thinking about starting a podcast? And I was like, a podcast? What is that? I had no knowledge of what a podcast was. But then we did the research, and then I started to ask some persons from church, who were overseas at the time, just to give me some feedback about podcasting in the States, what were the platforms, the number one platforms, just any information that we could find. And I got the recommendation. We started to use the Podbean platform, and I just want to take this time to say thank you so much to the organizers and those persons who run the Podbean platform. And our podcast is Word Inspiration, and it can be found at wordinspiration.podbean.com. So this little thing that started on WhatsApp turned into a podcast, and today we have this opportunity to celebrate its second anniversary, and I am grateful. And of course, being the host and the producer of the podcast, and I never saw myself doing this, but it goes to show that when you put your mind to something, you can work towards it, because when you have the talents and the gifts that is inside of you, that's what you need to use to ensure that you're fulfilling your purpose and your destiny. And part of me, when I was growing up, I always wanted to do radio, and I didn't have the opportunity to be on radio at the time. But I decided that I was going to use my voice, because I believe that God gave me a voice, He gave me a talent, and I was going to use it for His glory. And here we are today. We have a podcast called Word Inspiration. So I was just sitting at home one day. I'm giving you a little bit about the history of the Word Inspiration. Still sitting at home one day, and the name came to me, and then I started to create a little jingle about this is Word Inspiration, and that's how we actually started. And I didn't know anything about editing at the time, recording. I never had any fancy mic. I wasn't in the studio. And when everybody asked me, so Damian, how your podcast sounds? So? And I was actually doing it from home using my cell phone. Yes, guys, I've been using my cell phone for the podcast. Your cell phone. And that's all you need really to start out if you're interested in starting a podcast. And I have seen where over the last 2 years, persons have, approached me and asked, how do you start a podcast? What are the things that you need to know? And I was able to assist them. So here we are today, celebrating just this great milestone. And I'm so grateful for all the persons who have come on board to support the podcast. And it's not an easy work. It takes a lot of work. And I think this is really a 9 to 5 job. But nonetheless, if you are talented and if you have a passion about something, you should always go for that and ensure that what you're doing, you do it to the best of your ability. And there's this, a friend of mine told me one time, use the resources that you have within your reach. Again, I didn't have any fancy studio at the time. In fact, this is not even my studio, but we're using the space. So big up to Pure Music Studios again for that. And I'm just encouraging you that whatever tools you have, use it, and then eventually you will start to see the signs and the results once you have put in the work. You start to plan, you start to execute that plan and do it properly, because these things take time. And so again, I'm encouraging anyone out there who has a desire to start a podcast or to start a YouTube channel, you want to be a vlogger or so on, you can still do that, and you can start out by using the resources that you have, linking up with persons who are already in the area so that they can help you to grow. And so on this second anniversary, I'm again so grateful, and so I'm just sharing with you what Word Inspiration has done so far, and we've been making impact. We're not like top podcast, but some of the things that we have done so far is that we have daily devotionals. So you can log into the website and you can listen to our daily devotionals, which are produced by me most times. And I normally have persons coming on to share content as well, in terms of devotions, the word, encouragement, that kind of a thing. So we have daily devotionals, we also have interviews, we also have testimonials, and so on. And I just want to use this time also just to say that when you start doing something, there's no need for you to get flustered. There's no need for you to start to worry how you're going to manage. God will send the help that you need so that you can produce the content that you need, and so that persons can find it, interact with it, and eventually become inspired. So Word Inspiration, as I said, the tagline is renewing your mind and increasing your spiritual health. I remember one day my good friend had invited me to the studio at Love 101 FM, and he had asked me to talk about renewing your mind. And he asked me, Damian, how do you come up with this tagline? What does this mean? And then I told him that this is actually a tagline from my podcast. And from there we started to talk about it, and we started to share what the vision was for Word Inspiration. So it's all about renewing your mind, giving hope and encouragement to those persons who need it, especially when you think about the time that we're living in now, the world that we're living in with this global pandemic. There are lots of persons who are in need of hope and inspiration. Persons are filled with fear and anxiety. And so we want to be the platform that provides persons with that kind of hope that they need. Understanding that God is the source of everything, understanding that we cannot go through life without looking to the one who is able to keep us, the one who provides for us, the one who is there for us. God's word says that he is a present help in the time of trouble. So just giving you a little bit of the history of Word Inspiration. And as I said before, that we've added different components to the program or to the platform itself, hosted by Podbean. Currently, we are on Spotify, we're on Google Podcasts, we're on Deezer, we're on listennotes.com. We're just about everywhere. We're on Facebook, we're on Instagram, and we're also now on Twitter at the Word Inspiration Podcast. So you can check us out there as well to continue interacting with what we do. And at this time, I'd like to also say a big thank you to all the persons who have worked behind the scenes on this podcast. And again, I want to say it publicly to the team, Eduardo Foreman, Matthew McHale, Garth Smith, Jordana Murphy, Terrence Thompson Jr., and yours truly, Damian Scarlett. And we're also looking for persons who are willing to partner with us in this initiative. And over the last 2 years, we've seen persons come on board to support our special episodes like LED Innovation, Suds Cleaners JA, Ship to Shore. So many persons have come on board to support the podcast, and I'm so grateful, and especially to my church family, for Rehoboth Gospel Assembly, and also the persons who are in our denomination, Associated Gospel Assemblies. And we also have persons on our team who are not directly from our association, but they believe in the vision and the mission of Word Inspiration, and for that we are extremely grateful. So it's our second podcast anniversary, and I just want to say thank you again. Thank you to those persons who have allowed us to share their work on the platform. So I want to big up people like Chosen, big up people like Garfield Reed, Kevin Smith, Resounding Praise, O'Shane Mays, David Sutton, Alex Young. I just want to say big up to Alex as well, because when I just started this podcast, Alex was right there with me. He created a jingle for the podcast. He was just there giving a hand, a support. And I just want to say thank you so much. And to all the other persons who contribute to the program, whether through a song, through sharing poetry, because we're all about giving persons that space for their voice to be heard. And I also would like to use this opportunity to say thank you so much to my Talk Up Youth family on their nationwide 90 FM, and for their support for what I do as well. I love you so much and appreciate you. So again, I encourage you to continue to support Word Inspiration. Thank you so much to the One and Already podcast, the Musing podcast, for just coming on board and supporting as well. We are grateful for what you have been doing, and we're here to grow and to evolve, and together we can achieve more. So this is coming from Damian Scarlett, the host and main producer of Word Inspiration, renewing your mind and increasing your spiritual health.
Chains are falling off.
Thanks for watching this edition of Word Inspiration with your host, Damian Scarlett. Join us next time for another episode of the Word Inspiration Podcast, renewing your mind and increasing your spiritual health.